Okay, so as some of you may have seen on, is this focusing? Yep. Some of you may have seen on my little post, new camera just, well, just the other day. And I want to tell you guys a little bit of a backstory, because I've actually got this room, camera-wise, pretty dialed in right now, and I'm actually very, very happy. So really the question is why did I get a new camera, and why did I choose this one? So let's go back a little bit. Before we do anything, we're gonna go back, tell you a little bit of a story as to why this camera is now in my possession. And we'll do that right now. Okay, so before we do well, you guys know already because it's in the title, but December of 2020, we had a pretty good flood in our basement, and one of my older cameras actually. So here's the flood. Well, ready? Right here. See that? That was in our basement. That was it, kind of coming down, and we had a flood down there, and one of my older cameras, as I said, a Canon 7D, which was one of the very first cameras that I used SLR based on this channel for shooting videos outside of like an iPhone and things like that. And it had a 24-105 L lens on it. So it got damaged. The camera's not functioning properly. The lens, of course, now that it's got that amount of humidity or moisture in it, could over time get mold. So the insurance came out and appraised it at like $2,700 before tax. So with tax, just under $3,000 Canadian. And I was like, wow. So they were like, we can replace it, or you can have that amount of money to go replace it with another camera of your choosing. So I was like, okay. So that's really the reason that I did buy another camera. So I had to, $3,000 was kind of my pop, right? I could pay anything over it, but again, since this room is kind of doing its job, I didn't really want to spend any more, right? I didn't want to spend any money on a camera because this is kind of, well, honestly, a nice little bonus. Sometimes, not that I'm happy that we got the flood, because it's been 2 months and they're still working on it, so that's kind of a pain. But nice to have this. So this is it for one. I'm gonna take it out of the box because the bag, because it's been sitting in the bag, and I really want to just play with it. So here it is. Some of you actually saw and posted, you were like, oh, you can see the R through the bag, so good eyes. A lot of you said, oh, an R6, which would have been awesome. And then I got R5, which I would love an R5. And if money wasn't a thing, I definitely would have went with the R5 for sure. Actually, if money wasn't a thing, I even would have bought another R6, because this is the R6 here and I love it. So now here in the studio, we have the R6, the RP, which is this one here, the RP. We have an M50, and actually they're doing really good. Now, just so you guys know, very different cameras for sure, but they all have their purpose and they work really well. And they all run the CineStyle color profile. So their color, right, for grading is really good with each other. I don't shoot 10-bit, I shoot 8-bit, it's fine. So why did I choose the R? Well, number one, and I'm gonna bring it here. So I bought this at Vistec, and Vistec, for those of you that are not in Canada, it's a camera shop, fairly big camera shop. And I kind of was looking at the R6 because I'm like, if it's close, maybe I'll do it, because I don't even really need the lens. I've got enough lenses that I could get by. So I looked at the R6 with just a 24-105 STM, because that's what the lens is here. This is a 24-105 STM. And again, for video and stuff like that, for me, it's fine. Would the L be nice? Yeah. I shoot it pretty wide open. You know what? For me, It's perfect. Everyone's like, oh, get the L lens. I don't need it. It's going on YouTube. I don't need it, right? A lot of us don't need it. So really good. I looked at this. So here's the R6 on Vistec. With that 24 to 105, you're looking at 3,800 before tax. So you're looking at just over 4,000. So I was like, oh, that means at least, you know, maybe 1,000, 1,100, maybe more out of my pocket. No, that's out. So then I was like, how much is an R6 just by itself? Oh, still 3,500. So still, we're probably looking at close to, you know, $1,000 out of my pocket. So no, for one, Mary wouldn't let me, right? And I get it, because there's no need. There's really no need. So I went to the R, and the R's always been something that I've been curious about, right? So R, and this is the reason I got it from Vistec, because I looked on Amazon, I looked at Henry's, which is another camera shop, I looked at Best Buy, and everybody's price was $26.99. Canon Canada, $26.99 everywhere. So I'm like, okay, so that's my ballpark, $26.99, and with tax, it comes out to $3,050. So do I spend an extra 50 bucks? Yeah, that's fine. But Vistec gave me a free memory card and this Jupio, don't even know, Ultra Edition extra high capacity battery. So it's a higher capacity than the Canon battery with a 3-year warranty. And I'm like, oh, I like free batteries and free memory cards. None of the other ones would do that. So it won. Now the other one that was sort of curious to me was the Sony A3, I think it is. Because it's same price. No, sorry, it wasn't the A3. It was the A7C, actually. A7C, $26.99. But I just didn't know how well it would match with everything else. And I know Canon, I got Canon lenses. I figured I'm staying with Canon. But I was close, I was teetering. I was like, you know, it's kind of like almost like a free camera. So should I try it? Nope. Canon R. And with lens, 24 to 105. So the same lens as this camera here, same lens as shooting. I think what's gonna happen is this one is gonna be a permanent fixture in the office, whereas this one, usually I would move it all the time. So now I can just keep this stationary, right? So here it is, quick unboxing, because there's 1,000 unboxings out there. So there's your warranty card, right? Little warranty stuff. There's another massive manual. You get your, this looks like a little cable holder and your USB-C to USB-C cable. You get your standard battery charger, which is cool. You get your battery, which is awesome. You get a camera strap, which it's going nowhere because I don't like this. I'll get something else. You get the 24 to 105 STM. And last but not least, super exciting, last but not least, you get the Canon, you get the camera. Here's the reveal. Oh! And it really, you know, like again, it looks and it feels to me like the grip's a little bigger, I think, than the RP, but everything's there. I'm gonna have to probably get used to this little touch bar thing. There's some people that are like, yeah, it's okay. Am I focusing? Yeah, it's okay. And some people are like, nope, I hate it. I'll figure it out. I'll play with it over time. It's not a big deal. So here's the real thing. Why did I buy this? Well, you kind of know a little bit about why you bought it, and or I bought it, and maybe why do I think this is still? I'm super excited for this camera. Why do I think this is still, you know, a good camera, especially in 2021, because there's a lot of cameras out there. So number one for me, price, right? $2,700. You get a complete kit. For at least I did. Vistec memory card, good. Now I got 2 batteries. So I got this battery, which is high capacity. I got the one that came in the box, which is awesome. I got a charger, perfect. And I'm gonna be honest, as much as I love L lenses, they're great. I've got a couple L lenses. Shooting, especially for like YouTube, which is primarily the video I shoot for. And I've even used them for, you know, some social media commercial videos that I've done for companies. they're fine. You know, if I'm doing high end or need to do high end work, sure, I get it. That's something that you probably want to get the best quality possible, right? So that was or is something that can be a concern. Now, the other thing that I like too, this one, like the R6, has this shutter that closes, which I like because the RP doesn't have that, right? So I'm just playing while I'm talking. I like the fact that this came with this lens because I've been actually super happy with this lens on this camera. Super quiet for vlogging, you know. 24 is a little tight, but you can get it out there. This, even the depth of field, I wouldn't want it anymore because, you know, when you're shooting it full wide, you know, full wide, this is, does it say on it? Does it say on it anywhere here? I can't even remember what it is. Yeah, it's an f4 at full wide. So what's the difference if I'm shooting full wide here, which I am, or here, which I will be, versus the 24 f4, 24 to 105 f4 throughout? I'm shooting it primarily wide anyway. So that's a big thing. And this is an RF lens, which I also really like too, which means that, especially on like the R6, you get that IS, which is cool. And you get the combination of the IBIS and the IS together. So if you're looking at the R6 or i5 with IBIS, that's kind of a nice add-on. But I actually really like this lens because of its weight. It's, you know, like I said, I have the 24 to 105 f4. It's heavy, like it's a heavy lens. This is great. This is a lovely little combo. You know, I now get this little screen up top, which I've never played with before, so that's kind of nice. Some downfalls that people talk about, and I get it for some, for sure, if you're shooting maybe professionally. Single card slot, right? Single card slot. For me, is that a big issue? No, because even on my R6, dual card slots, guess what? It only shoots one card, so not a big deal. After I put the color profile on here, these are all going to match, which means my color grading in post, which I've kind of got down really close now to what I do, will work perfectly with this, which is cool. But one of the kind of biggest reasons for me was that down the road, if I so choose, especially if I end up upgrading this at one point, the M50, and upgrading the RP, is that, you know, 10-bit is starting to become a thing. Is it that important for me? No, not at all. But with an external like recorder, like an Atomos Ninja, I can record 10-bit on this. So this was also a big thing for me to be able to do, is know that this is future-proofing itself at least a little bit, right? Being able to get that 10-bit color down the road if I so choose and want that. Because maybe I will, right? And a lot of people, 2 cameras is really all they need. So I think having an R6 and an R is going to be actually a really good combo. These would be the 2 cameras that I would take out. If I was going to a shoot or going to take photos, these are the 2, because the 20 megapixel here, and speed-wise, this is gonna shoot way faster than this, I'd use the R6, right? If I'm shooting animals, for instance, I'd use the R6 because it has animal eye detection, which is awesome, in both photo and video, which is great. But if I'm shooting people or maybe landscapes or anything like that for photos, I may use this because I go from 20 megapixels to 30. That's nice. It's got, like I said, eye detection for people, not animals, whatever. But you get it. Plus you get a little bit more low light, I would think a bit, on the R6 versus the R. So the 2 of them together for me, I think are going to be a really nice combo. Also, and this is also a big thing, the R6, of course, in 4K, eye tracking, right, which is awesome. That's huge. I like the eye tracking. It's got IBIS, which is nice. No crop, so uses full frame, which is perfect. But this, right, has a 1.78 crop in 4K. Again, I don't really care because this would be used as a secondary or in the other room. And I can either bring this back a little bit, which is cool. I can do that, right? 24, pushing it back, still gonna be like a 40-ish. Or I have back there on the shelf, I have a 10 to 18. So I'm gonna actually do a test in a future video. So just be aware, these are happening. I'm gonna be doing a bunch of tests now, especially between the R6, the RP, and the R, just because I think it's important for you guys to kind of be like, I have X amount of money, or I want to buy a camera, if I compare them together, is there a difference, right? If I shoot photos with a 20 megapixel versus a 30, is there much difference? If I'm shooting, you know, the crop. And then the first test I actually want to do is with the R6 running the 16 to 35 f4 L lens, okay, which I love, which is what you see all the time on this channel, versus the R with the 10 to 18 STM. It's a crop sensor, which matches or fits perfectly on the R, which has got beyond that crop, so it won't have any vignetting or anything like that. Plus, I'll just use one of the adapters and we'll be able to get an idea, because that'll put those close, right? That'll put this at a 16 and that'll put that at like a 17 to 18 on this camera. So they'll be really close to each other. And my curiosity would be, that's gonna be f4. That one is, I can't remember if it's an f4 or f4.5, but again, close. You know, maybe that's good enough, right? Both of them are IS. The 10 to 18, way lighter. Oh my gosh, so much lighter than the 16 to 35, you know? So a bunch of those videos are gonna be coming up. I'm actually super happy. I've wanted to get an R since it came out. I got one. So a few things just to realize, right? If you guys are looking, I spent the last 2-3 weeks looking at cameras. I probably watched every R and A7C and A7 III video that's possibly out there. And I went with the R. We can get so tied up, like so tied up in technical specifications and this one has this and this one has that, right? Which is going to be best? You know, you can't buy a bad camera now. You really just have to figure out what you're using it for. I know that I'm going to be using this for photos because I like the 30 megapixel. That's cool. And primarily, I'm going to be using this for video on sticks, so on a tripod, primarily. But if it does just as good with a 10 to 18, maybe that's all you need. And if you look at the price difference, again, in Canadian, you're looking at like a $1,200 difference from the R6 to the R. That's a big difference. Does it have crop? Well, so many cameras have crop. Look at the Blackmagics. Those have crops, you know. Look at almost every cinema camera out there. Those have crops. So a lot of those crops are just as much or more than this, right? So autofocus, even in 4K, dual pixel. We're gonna do some tests. We're gonna put the R6 up against the R. These are all coming out in the next few weeks because why would I not want to test these? All right, my friends, I'm gonna leave you there. Super excited actually to have this to join in the party. All right, my friends, I'm gonna leave you there. Canon R, I got one. Here it is. Love it. I love it already. All right, my friends, like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit that little notification bell, especially if you're in that, you know, mindset of you're looking at a new camera and you're wondering, should I save my $1,000 or should I up to like the R6 over the R? What do you know? We'll be doing some tests. And if you have any tests that you'd like, be it the RP versus the R or the R versus the R6, you know, let me know. I'm more than willing to try those for you. All right, my friends, I'll leave you there. I'm gonna go play. Yeah, I am. Later. All right, just testing. This is with that 24 STM on there in the office, just to see what it's like. Tracking the eye is awesome, and actually plenty wide. Even with the 24, I was thinking I might have to get the actual 10 to 18 in here, and it's a bit back further for sure, but I can still reach the camera. Oh yeah, this is uncolor corrected. This is right out of this camera. Just the color, the standard profile. So that's gonna change later on today. But oh yes, tracking nice and fast, right? Oh yes, that's good. That's good.